Entering from the northeast corner of the quadrangle, wearing distinctive gold robe and marching a blue gonfalon, are members of the Corpus Cordis Aureum, or Golden Corps of the Heart. Members of this group are Emory University alumni who graduated 50 or more years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, the Corpus Cordis Aureum. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the faculty of Emory University as they approach from the southwest corner of the quadrangle and process down the center aisle. The faculty is wearing colorful academic gowns and hoods that represent the institutions from which they receive their highest degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, the faculty of Emory University. party will approach from the southwest corner of the quadrangle and process down the center aisle. The platform party is led by Professor Raymond C. Duvarney, the Chief Marshal of the University. The platform party includes the trustees of the university in their gowns of office, the President's Cabinet, the deans, distinguished university administrators, faculty and student award recipients, the honorary degree recipients, and the bedell of the university, who is carrying the university's mace. President James W. Wagner, the 19th president of Emory University, marches at the end of the procession, wearing the gold Presidential Medallion of Office. Ladies and gentlemen, the platform party.
These proceedings are now called to order. Will all please be seated? Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, Emory trustees, faculty candidates, and all who have given so much to nurture and support those who graduate today, good morning and welcome to these 162nd commencement exercises of Emory University. My name is Jim Wagner, and it is my privilege to be serving as the president of Emory University. This moment marks the culmination of years of study and preparation that have gone into each of your degrees. The presence of family and friends and loved ones signifies the support, love, and belief in you that helped to make this moment possible. So to all, welcome to this time-honored and festive occasion. And I now call upon the Reverend Susan Henry Crow, Dean of the Chapel and of Religious Life, to offer the invocation.
Let us pray. O God of wisdom, breathe into us the spirit of gratitude for all the gifts of education. May this gift inspire these graduates to allow the soaring of their imaginations for service. Breathe through creation the impulse for life-giving curiosity and discovering ways to serve all who suffer. Breathe vitality into these who are graduating. Commencing into the world, may they find communities and friends and ventures that will help them honor their education. Breathe inspiration into our hearts and minds for those we uniquely honor this day. These honorees have creatively, unfailingly defended and addressed and been advocates for the environment, mental health, freedom, the arts, human and civil rights for people all around the world. Their accomplishments have brought wisdom and insight to a world weary and hungry for truth and integrity. Their service stirs in us desire to seek new horizons of service for humankind. In our abundance, may we remember and advocate for those who are poor. In our plenty, may we always find ways to address poverty in ourselves and in the world. Breathe wisdom into this institution and her president, trustees, professors, administrators, and staff, and all who work to make Emory a place with moral imagination, intellectual integrity for the transformation of the world. Breathe into us a sense of responsibility for the common good. Make us mindful of those for whom violence and war make it impossible to study and learn. Deepen our yearning and action for healing and hope to a sometimes dark and needy world. We pray for peace. O God of wisdom, accompany us in all the places we will go and all that we will do. Leave us not alone to the independence of our thinking and cynicism of spirit, but give to us fellow travelers who help us remember the love of learning and the joy of giving that we have come to know in this place. Amen.
Class of 2007, you have every right to be proud of the accomplishments that have brought you to this day. Even as you have been privileged to have received at Emory an education of the kind that's not easily achieved elsewhere, I too feel privileged to have spent these last 4 years with you. Each graduating class, that is, undergraduate seniors and graduate and professional students completing the final years, each graduating class seems to express the values and define the character for the entire student body. And you have been a class that seems to have valued most highly what we might call the fabric of community. Local community, regional community, global community. Sure, you have stretched that fabric from time to time, but you've not wanted it to tear. And neither have you stood by passively when tears in the fabric have occurred, either within Emry's community or to communities torn around the world. During our years together at Emory, our nation has been at war. Americans your age have fought and died in faraway places, thus torn from the fabric of society and their families. Closer to home in our own land, midway through our time together here, some of our fellow citizens suffered devastating losses of homes and livelihoods from natural disasters like hurricanes. And we witnessed most recently the horror of a gunman's rampage on the campus of our brothers and sisters at Virginia Tech, deeply tearing their community. These things did not happen here, but I'm proud to say that you did not enjoy frivolously the blessings of peace at home and the relative security from disaster. When you could, you gave aid. You raised our consciousness about the genocide in Darfur. You raised money for malaria research and treatment. You engaged in difficult conversations about peace in the Middle East and race relations in America and right here on Emory's campus, lest the thin fabric of that portion of our community might tear. And you worked to build community, a community of scholars, community of the mind, a community of intellectual inquiry and ethical engagement, a community of strength and diversity, a community of friendship. You pursued community with determination and spirit of common goodwill. The ideals of this kind of community are reflected in the motto of Emory University, in Latin, the Cor Prudentis Possidebit Scientiam, which means that the wise heart seeks knowledge. It doesn't close others out. Your time at Emory has prepared you not only in the practical knowledge of hypothesis formation and equation solving, executing laboratory experiments, crafting a persuasive essay, or a beautiful work of art or literature, or finding your way around the archive. It's done all of that. But your time here also has imbued you with certain virtues of the heart as well as the mind. The virtue of courage to pursue the thread of truth wherever it leads and to speak that truth. The virtue of justice, to judge and give appropriate due to the arguments of others, some more valid than others, of course. The virtues of wisdom, to understand your fellow human beings and to seek ways to build community with them, rather than discourse and animosity. And you exercise those virtues right here. Even when you expressed passionate disagreement and disrespect for ideas or actions, you still at the same time practiced respect for persons. This was true whether you were engaged in debate over divisive Middle East politics, or you participated in equally charged debate over who our commencement speaker should be. Heaven forbid that should be the president. But you did not tear the fabric of community, nor did you damage the personhood of those who were the sources of your concern. May your example continue with us here when you leave, and may you somehow infect the rest of society with this wisdom wherever you go. Now, as you leave this place, you will join an august company of nearly 100,000 Emory alumni spread throughout the world, and we are honored to have with us today a special band of those alumni who have demonstrated in their lives and careers the legacies of virtue and knowledge, the same legacy bequeathed to you. This group we call the Corpus Cordis Aureum, Latin for the golden core of the heart. They are clad in gold robes with specially commissioned medallions, and these alumni are members of the 50th reunion class, as well as members of classes that graduated from Emory prior to 1957. Ladies and gentlemen of the Corpus Cordis Aureum, will you please stand and allow us to express our appreciation and to recognize you? Please stand. Thank you so much. Now, you may be interested in a few facts about Emory's graduates of 2007. Almost 3,700 degrees and certificates will be conferred today. 43% of these go to men, 57% to women. 48 of the United States are represented by our graduates. 432 of today's graduates come from 82 nations abroad, most of whose flags are on display at either end of the quad. 40 of our degree recipients are over 50 years of age. The youngest bachelor's graduate is 18. The oldest bachelor's graduate is 53, and the oldest degree candidate is 63, receiving a Master's of Public Health. That is wonderful. But all of you, through your exuberance, make us feel very young today. Students who have garnered honors and prizes are listed in the programs. In fact, in pages 32 through 44 are all the honors and prizes. But on page 32 itself, there are the names of 50 students who merit special attention by having earned 2 degrees simultaneously during their time here at Emory. In fact, would the recipients of simultaneous degrees please stand, and would all of you please join me in congratulating these and all the winners of honors and prizes. Double degree winners, please stand. Representing the many honors garnered by outstanding students and faculty members, 3 university-wide honors will be presented at this ceremony. Details of the accomplishments of these 3 special award winners can be found on page 4 of the program. Now, symbolic of all honors bestowed on students by the university, the Martin Luther Brittain Award is an expression of gratitude for service performed without any expectation of reward or recognition. To present that award, I call on Senior Vice President for Campus Life, Dr. John Ford.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to award the 2007 Marion Luther Brittain Award to Emory School of Medicine, Doctor of Medicine candidate, Arun Mohan. Arun?
The Scholar Teacher Award gratefully acknowledges the long and patient work of a member of the Emory University faculty. It is a pleasure to present the 2007 Scholar Teacher Award to Professor of Anthropology and Director of the Center for Health, Culture, and Society, Peter J. Brown. As Peter Brown comes forward, would prior winners of this award please stand and be recognized as well? And please stand. I should have an award for you somewhere. I don't see it. Peter, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well deserved. Thank you, and you may be seated. Congratulations. The Thomas Jefferson Award is Emory's premier recognition for service to the university by a member of the faculty or administration. Would prior winners among our faculty of the Thomas Jefferson Award please stand? Because it gives me great pleasure at the same time to present the 2007 Thomas Jefferson Award to the Director of Forensics, faculty member of Educational Studies, and founder of the Urban Debate League, Professor Melissa Maxey Wade. Congratulations. I am pleased now to present to you Ben Johnson III of the Emory College class of 1965, and for us, more importantly, chair of Emory's Board of Trustees, and for you, importantly, because he will authorize the conferral of degrees.
President Wagner, esteemed members of the university faculties and distinguished guests, on behalf of the trustees of Emory University, I take great pleasure in accepting the recommendations of the president and the faculties of Emory University. I hereby authorize you to confer degrees upon the 2007 graduates, together with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities.
Thank you, Ben. This morning we are honored to have on this platform 4 special guests who have distinguished themselves in the fields of medicine, business, mental health, and art. You will find brief biographies of these eminent individuals on pages 5 and 6 of the commencement program. And before we confer the degrees in course, it is our privilege this morning to present to these 4 persons Emory's highest honor, the doctoral degree, honoris causa. Dean Larry Benvenisti, will you present our first honored guest?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to place the name of Gracie Anderson in candidacy to receive the degree of Doctor of Science.
Ray C. Anderson, entrepreneur, environmental pioneer. Your life and work demonstrate the transformative power of ideas and the inspiration to be found in books. Reading a treatise on ecology and commerce, an experience you likened it to a spear in the chest. You determined to lead your successful company in revolutionizing its operations, dramatically reducing the use of non-renewable resources and changing the practices of the entire floor-covering industry. Along the way, you have proven the green benefits of green philosophy, the commercial profit that can derive from ecologically sustainable models of business, marrying financial success and social good. For your enterprising spirit and your courage in acting on new ideas, we confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Dean Robert Paul, will you present our second honored guest?
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you Mr. Benny Andrews to receive the degree Doctor of Humane Letters. Sadly, the world lost Mr. Andrews in November of this past year at the age of 75. With us to receive the degree in his memory is Mr. J. Richard Gruber, a longtime family friend and director of the Ogden Museum of Southern Art in New Orleans, where many of Mr. Andrews' works have found a home.
Benny Andrews, artist, advocate, mentor. Guided by your distinctive and bright burning pole star, you set out on a path of art wholly your own, combining internationally sophisticated abstract expressionism with the wit, charm, and earthiness of folk art. You found a home among artistic masters while never shaking the red dust of Georgia from your feet. Passionate in your dedication to your vision, you also zealously fought for due recognition of the achievements of other Black artists, and never tired of encouraging, inspiring, and bringing along a younger generation. For the munificent sharing of your creative energy over the course of a long and light-filled life, we confer on you posthumously the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Dean James Curran, will you present our third honored guest?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor of presenting an outstanding citizen, Beverly Benson Long, to receive the degree of a Doctor of Science.
Beverly Benson Long, daughter of Georgia, public health visionary. For more than 3 decades, your passionate focus on mental health has served our state, our nation, and the world. Determined to make emotional and psychological wellness a vital component of thinking about public health, you have guided the work of policymakers and organizations. Your fight for more humane treatment, better funding, and more effective detection and prevention has helped diminish the unfair stigma of mental illness. Your understated manner hides a fiery zeal. Your counsel has proved invaluable to Emory in educating our students about mental well-being. In recognition for your clarity of purpose in behalf of others, we gratefully confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Executive Vice President Michael Johns, will you present our fourth honored guest?
Mr. President, I have the honor to present Dr. Paul Edward Farmer for the degree Doctor of Science.
Paul Edward Farmer, healer, humanitarian, teacher. Moved by a gospel-centered imperative to serve the poor and a doctor's kit filled with simple instruments, great intellect, and greater still compassion, you cure the sick. You visit the imprisoned and bring hope to countless men and women in despair. Along the way, you have effected a revolution in our understanding of how to loosen the death grip of AIDS and tuberculosis among impoverished people. Your work inspires others to emulation. Your spirit of service, focused on persons while transforming communities, gives courage to those who would follow your example. With gratitude for your steadfast vision and for your extraordinary wedding of the heart and the mind, we bestow on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. At this time, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Farmer to deliver our keynote address.
Thank you. Now that wasn't too hard to say, President Wagner. Let me start at the beginning. Congratulations, class of 2007. And lest we forget, happy Mother's Day. I mean, let me just ask you all to stop and think a second where you'd be without your mamas. Now, forgive me if I'm a little bit intimidated about being your commencement speaker. Where are the undergraduates, by the way? There you are. I consider it a great honor, of course, but you have to admit there's been a fair amount of flack about this part of the festivities. Now, I'm accustomed to being second choice, and I don't mind losing out to major contributors to higher education, such as, say, Will Ferrell or The Rock. Sometimes it's surely better to be in second place, One year, I'm told, it was me or Condi at BC. And the fact that I went first is probably why she's never asked me to come work at the State Department. And look at the mess they're in over there. In any case, friends here have sent me copies of the editorials and letters to your campus newspaper, The Wheel. So I know that Emory is at least polite about such matters as who should give your commencement address. When the president of George Washington University was announced as a speaker, I read, again in The Wheel, that he, and I quote, was labeled a con artist and a spawn of Satan on Facebook groups created to protest his decision. At Emory, students maintained their respect for President Wagner while protesting his decision. The Emory administration was also able to respond to student concerns with a greater deal of success. Commencement at George Washington will continue without a keynote speaker. That's true. I'm quoting from the Emory Wheel, which could never be wrong, right? And Emory, on the other hand, this is still from The Wheel, was able to recruit an outside speaker, Paul Farmer, who, while not widely recognized by students, at least fits the ideals of the university he will be addressing. End of citation. Where are the medical students? You guys better have my back, is all I can say. And where's Rollins, anyway, in all this? There we go. Anyway, so here I am, not widely recognized by anyone, it would seem, and not as appealing as a big-name celebrity or a political figure. By the way, last night I was hanging around with some students who told me that in order to raise my profile here at Emory, that they purchased, with the help of the administration, 2,000 copies of a book that I didn't write, but in which I figured prominently. And they told me they actually borrowed a golf cart and drove around the campus. And even, they shouldn't have told me this, they said they went to Frisbee mat games, ultimate Frisbee. And I had this image of them going around in a golf cart with the book saying, hey, free books. And the Frisbee player is going, dude, what about this doctor? Okay, we'll come. Anyway, even The Wheel hopes that I might have something useful to impart, and so far has been kind enough not to publish any Facebook commentaries suggesting that it is I who am the spawn of Satan, and that's good news for me. Good news for you. My remarks will be brief, contain a true story with a plot line, and attempt to reflect some of the ideals that Emory, as much as any American research university, is attempting to cultivate. And though you can't please everyone at commencement, and just look around you at the diversity of interests and values all around you, I will try to avoid focusing only on the dreary topics in which I, alas, have some expertise. But don't worry, I wouldn't know how to give a speech without referring to runaway epidemics and to pestilence in general, to war, racism, and other sorts of violence. I wouldn't know how not to speak about the people I've met by being a doctor. But following the rules of commencement addresses, I will seek to refer to these horrors in a cheerful way. Also, in keeping with the rules, I won't talk about Virginia Tech or gun control. I won't talk about religion or politics, at least not a lot. I will scarcely mention global warming. But what then are the ideals of the university I will be addressing? Why was I invited here? Since the creation and dissemination of new knowledge through research and teaching, a big part of my job, are taken as givens in a research university and a bit ho-hum for commencement, I'm hoping I was chosen because of my interest in the university's role in service beyond its walls. This university has promised to advance an agenda that links the development of new knowledge to the betterment of the world. It can and it should. With the CDC, CARE, the Task Force for Child Survival, the Carter Center practically on the premises, the possibility for service, both local and global, is almost limitless. It's perhaps this proximity that has led Emory to ask important questions about the role of a research university in a world riven by violence and the persistent and complex plagues I deal with in my day job as a doctor in Haiti or Africa or Boston. Mission statements promising to promote such ideals are easy. Making them happen entails great struggle. How do we set priorities? Well, we have to look back and to look forward. It's another rule of graduation speaking that one should never, ever use a Latin turn of phrase or refer to the classics. That was outlawed, by the way, in 1962 by a Supreme Court decision. Now, I'm going to cheat and quote Cicero, and he wrote, "Not to know what happened before one was born is always to be a child." Others have commented that as a people, Americans are short-memoried. Now, I'll confess right here that I have no memory of anything that was said at my college graduation. And of course, I'm worried you're going to forget my comments by tomorrow, which would be better than being labeled the spawn of Satan on Facebook. So I'm going to try to keep this straightforward and tell the story of one family's struggle. Now, this is a story about courage and commitment, friendship and generosity. It's a story about immigration to this country, and it links, in no more than a dozen years, 4 very different countries. It's a story that leads from Haiti to the United States via Guantanamo, where we have a military base, and then on to Iraq. 4 countries, 12 years. I said I wouldn't be talking about the war much, and I won't. I said I wouldn't talk too much about disease and violence, and I won't. I'll focus on a courageous and generous young man whom I'll call Joe, since he's still in Iraq. He's 24. He's about the same age as many of you graduating today. I've told his mother's story before, but never his before today. I met Joe because of a 1991 coup in Haiti, where I'd been working since graduating from college. Joe's parents were poor, but able to read and write and interested in service to others. They were involved in a mass literacy movement that had taken root in Haiti about the time of that country's first democratic elections, which occurred in December 1990. 7 months after a landslide victory brought a liberation theologian to the presidency, a violent military coup brought an end to democratic rule in Haiti. The ensuing repression was fearsome. Refugees streamed out of the cities and into the hills, over the border into the Dominican Republic, where they were unwelcome, and onto the high seas. Of course, no one desired to leave home, least of all a young couple with 2 small boys. But on April 27, 1992, Joe's mother, Yolande Jean, was arrested and taken to a police station. She was pregnant with her 3rd child, was beaten, miscarried, and decided that should she survive, that she would flee the country, which she did shortly thereafter. Her husband remained in hiding, and she never saw him again. The next part of the story brings in 2 more of the 4 countries, the United States and Cuba. Why Cuba? Because that's where a Coast Guard cutter, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter, took Yolande. She told me, "I took the boat on May 12th, and on the 14th they came to get us. They did not say where they were taking us. We were still in Haitian waters at the time. We thought they might be coming to help us. There were 6 children on board. On the 14th, we reached the base at Guantanamo." Haiti was full to overflowing with people like Yolande Jean. Soon, Guantanamo was full to overflowing as well. On May 24th, 1992, at which time, I might add, I was a young American physician, just having finished not too long previously my own training. On May 24th, 1992, President Bush issued Executive Order number 12,807 from his summer home in Kennebunkport, Maine. Referring to the Haitian boats, he ordered the Coast Guard to, and I quote, "to return the vessel and its passengers to the country from which it came, provided, however, that the Attorney General, in his unreviewable discretion, may decide that a person who is a refugee will not be returned without his consent," end quote. As an attorney for the Lawyers Committee for Human Rights, Riley observed, "Grace did not abound. All Haitians have been returned under the new order." Not all were returned. Yolande was among that small number who, deemed political refugees, were also found to be positive for HIV. I won't go through her story today, which is too painful for a celebration, but suffice it to say that she was stuck on a military base against her will. The plight of the Haitian refugees became enough of a cause célèbre during the 1992 elections to spur the candidates Clinton and Gore in their official platform to call for an end to the forced repatriation of Haitian boat people and to the detention of HIV-positive refugees on Guantanamo. I'm for that, I thought, taking heart, for I was disturbed by the reports coming out of the base there. But the camps were not closed down until federal judge Sterling Johnson heard the case brought against the U.S. government by the Haitians and their advocates. The more depositions he heard, the more convinced he became that the detention of the HIV-positive Haitians represented cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the Eighth Amendment of our Constitution. In his 1993 ruling on the case, Judge Johnson described Haitians detained in Camp Bulkley as follows, and I quote from his decision. They live in camps surrounded by razor-barbed wires. They tie plastic garbage bags to the sides of the building to keep the rain out. They sleep on cots and hang sheets to create some semblance of privacy. They are guarded by the military and not permitted to leave the camp except under military escort. They are confined like prisoners and are subject to detention in the brig without hearing for camp rule infractions. End quotation. Yolande was eventually released along with the others and came to the United States. I visited her and other Haitian refugees in New York and Boston after this particular ordeal was over. When I first met Joe, he was about 12, his brother 10. I mostly talked to their mother and seemed to recall that they found it more absorbing to talk to my brother, who was then a professional wrestler with World Championship Wrestling. You laugh, but this is true. He was thus himself a resident of this city and a frequent visitor to Emory. Some of you, not the undergraduates, but some of you in graduate school, G27 or whenever. How long does it take to get through graduate school these days? Some of you will recall that whenever I'd come here to give a talk, my brother, who is the size of a Brahma bull, would get all the attention. I mean, I'm not jealous. I think he looks like a freak. But anyway, the Haitians look at him and say, same mother, same father? A decade went by, and I confess I didn't think much about Joe. And this is the part to remember. But just before Christmas 2005, I received, via a close friend of his, a check in the amount of $250. Joe said he wished to support the work of our group, Partners in Help, in Haiti, and to help us one day in serving the destitute sick there. I was grateful for the contribution, for we certainly needed help in Haiti. What struck me most, though, was that Joe was in Fallujah. He joined the Marines and been sent to Iraq. I wrote back to him and we stayed in touch through email and once in a while by phone. So I guess those Halliburton call centers do work. It's probably cost $7,452 per minute to you, the taxpayers. To you, the taxpayers. We're the parents, anyway. There you are. For a year, we corresponded almost every day, just by email. But we didn't talk much about the war or his daily reality. He took great pains to let me know that by the time I began inquiring anxiously about his safety, he no longer went out on missions, as he put it, beyond the wire. He was instead responsible, and is responsible, for supplying another group of Marines out on patrol. He didn't say much over email about his activities, noting only how relieved he felt when his guys returned safely to the forward operating base in Fallujah. More often than not, he'd tell me that I was the one who needed to be careful, since he knew a lot about what was happening in Haiti. But I knew that, oh great, I'm missing a page in my sheet. You guys are probably thrilled. Carlos Del Rio, Doctor of Medicine, I'm going to kill you. He printed it for me. I'm kidding, though. Anyway, forget about the written page. I got to meet up with Joe, who came on leave, and to meet up with his girlfriend and his little brother. And I said, I'll meet you anywhere in the United States. I'll buy you a nice meal. And I did. This is just a couple of weeks ago. And I thought maybe I was giving him the first red wine he'd had in a while. And we talked a little bit about his plans. And he told me, very straightforward man, that he was planning to stay in Iraq in order to look after his mother, who he knew could fall ill at any time, to send his brother to a proper college, and to be able to buy a home and have a family. One of the things he said struck me. I want to look forward, not back. Very irrepressibly optimistic fellow. Now, some things we didn't discuss, including the fact that Joe is not yet a U.S. citizen. But we did discuss his little brother's plans. Whenever he had trouble making ends meet, Joe's brother thought about joining the military too. Do that only as a last resort, advised Joe. I'll find the money for you to finish college. There was so much left to talk about that we called each other every day during his leave. He's now back in Fallujah, and I spoke with him yesterday when he called me. So what exactly is this story about? What, as we used to say in medical school, is the take-home message? You guys still say that, don't you? Grumpily, I might add. Like, how much of this do we really have to know? You're hoping I'll stop talking about this, or the whole world here will know how much you complain about having to learn. Anyway, let me offer 3 take-home messages. I've already confessed that I don't recall any of the points made by my own class's commencement speaker, so you're forgiven in advance if you forget these 3. First, it's a story about connections. As you head off to lives full of promise, remember that the connections you've made here at Emory need to be sustained and nourished. I let Joe fall out of my life for a decade, and his mother and brother too. Thankfully, Joe's generosity brought us all back together. I won't lose track of them again. Friendship is too precious a gift. There are, of course, less sentimental connections visible in this story. I've written a lot about the intimate link between my country and Haiti, the hemisphere's 2 oldest republics. It's not the stuff of congratulatory addresses either. And I fear the connection between our country and Iraq will cause us grief. Fallujah is a case in point and is already a proverb. Just 2 weeks ago, one U.S. colonel in Anbar province explained his approach to counterinsurgency, and I quote, this is from the colonel, "Fix Ramadi, but don't destroy it. Don't do a Fallujah." But what about our peculiar military base in, of all places, Cuba? Just last month, a friend of mine gave a talk about Guantanamo at Harvard. Here's his description of the place: a bay, a harbor, a hideout, a home, a military base, a sanctuary, a prison, an outpost on the threshold of nations where neither Cuban nor U.S. nor international law applies. Guantanamo Bay has been there all along. When the Taino Indians met Columbus, when Caribbean pirates preyed on the shipping of newly consolidated states, when Spain clashed with Britain, when the U.S. defeated Spain, when Kennedy confronted Castro, when George W. Bush set out to vanquish terror, to know Guantanamo is to know ourselves, as citizens, as a country, as individuals in a world of states. Guantanamo is a place outside, this is me again, Guantanamo is a place outside the reach of constitutional protections. So you might think of it as a place of disconnection, but the very disconnection connects you and me to that place and what is done there. I hope you will all take on the responsibility of remembering how closely we are connected to the things that should disquiet us. Remember Cicero's injunction about history as you go out from Emory into the world. Second, Joe's story, like his mother's, is for me a parable about the kind of country we want to live in. Look around you. Look at the way Emory looks today compared to the way it looked, say, only 50 years ago. You know probably that Emory was founded in the first half of the 19th century by people who owned slaves. But did you know that Emory was forbidden by state law from educating African Americans at the same time it enrolled white students? Did you know that it was only in 1962, when about half of those present today were already alive, that Emory brought suit against the state of Georgia and won the right to enroll students without regard to race? Emory's rise to greatness Emory's rise to greatness could not have happened, never, ever, without that struggle. Coca-Cola helped, but it takes more than great wealth to make a great university. It also takes great students. Who asked, how do you want Emory to look in the future? I have a friend, he's a journalist at CNN, lives right here in the city, and I asked him what points he thought I should underline here today. Every day he has to read about Iraq, shooting sprees on college campuses, crude comments from talk show hosts. It's about respecting people, he said, and reaching out to others. He paused a second and added, if everyone around you looks exactly like you, then there's something wrong. Although our elite universities are less homogeneous than they were a few decades ago, they remain islands of privilege, with far too few people like Joe. And although his younger brother has aspirations to attend a decent college, it's unlikely he could transfer here from the community college he now attends, especially given that he's working an almost full-time job on top of his studies. But still, look around you and wonder what this place would look like if we were not a country of immigrants. We ought to be celebrating this heritage with gratitude. But one can read in this month's Harper's Index that no fewer than 305 new U.S. anti-immigration groups have formed since 2005. What kind of place do we want our country to be? I ask this knowing that not everyone here is a U.S. citizen. Then again, neither is Joe, even though he's serving in Iraq. If you're here today, you are somehow part of this country, this great experiment in modern democracy. Granted, our nation's reputation is not impeccable. But until quite recently, the United States have often served as a beacon of hope in many parts of the world. How do we wish to be seen by others, or to refer again to the wheel? What are the ideas we hold dear? Do we want to have camps like those on Guantanamo? Do we want America to be a place known as violent at home, even on college campuses, and violent abroad? Or do we want to try and change even those hearts which, unlike the polar ice caps, show little signs of melting? That was my only reference to global warming, so you're over now. Third, finally, remember people like my uncomplaining, brave, and generous friend Joe. I know some of the reasons he's in Fallujah rather than Haiti or in New York, and I think you do too. The forces that tore his family asunder and sent his mother to an HIV-positive concentration camp, to quote the judge, are not unrelated to those that would 10 years later lead him into Iraq, even if he himself focuses largely on issues such as family strife or economic necessity. If you're the praying sort, please pray for Joe and for all those souls who, regardless of nationality, now find themselves within the borders of Iraq. But the reason I mention Joe today is his generosity. This is the point I'd like to underline here at Emory. In the midst of all he's been through, he's still able to think about service to others, including people in the poverty-stricken country he has not seen since he was a child. Even in Iraq, Joe is still able to remember those less fortunate than himself. These are worthy ideas and not unrelated, I suspect, to the notion of service that Emory espouses. To what extent does Emory espouse such notions? Well, take the Global Health Institute, which was launched by friends of mine, anthropologists and doctors and public health specialists from across the university. It's as good an example of how a research university can link its strengths to service to the poor as any I can think of, and has the strong support of President Wagner and the Emory administration. I also have the good fortune of knowing some of the graduates here today. Others I have met or read about. Here among you, for example, is a young woman, Julie Rosenberg, graduating from the School of Public Health. Before even attending college, she worked for a year among some of the poorest children in urban Peru. She let these children and their families change her life. Although she's only in her mid-20s, Joe's age, she has for several years already raised funds and awareness on behalf of these families. Some of you have read about college seniors, Elizabeth Scholtes and Robbie Brown. Liz has been working among street kids in Pune, India, and her notion of pragmatic solidarity was expansive enough to include building an orphanage. So when her classmate, Robbie Brown, formerly editor of the world's finest campus newspaper, was awarded a no-strings-attached $20,000 prize, he turned around and gave the entire amount to Liz for her work in India. Both of them may be tired about hearing their generosity praised, but what a marvelous example for Emory and for all of us. There are also important collectives represented here today because Emory is a major site of basic research leading to drug development, and because some of these drugs are of obvious importance to people in my line of work, I am excited to know that Universities Allied for Essential Medicines is active here. Just how important this is clear when you learn, as I did from students at the Rollins School of Public Health, that 80% of today's prescriptions for AIDS medications include at least one drug covered by Emory intellectual property rights. How can we get these drugs for our most destitute patients? Allow me to quote from Emory's strategic plan. A destination university internationally recognized as an inquiry-driven, ethically engaged, and diverse community whose members work collaboratively for positive transformation in the world through courageous leadership in teaching, research, scholarship, healthcare, and social action, unequaled at translating medical breakthroughs into service and patient care. That's from the Emory Strategic Plan. There is, in your students and faculty, enormous promise for the world in which all of us must live, are privileged to live. The Wheel's recent editorial, I bet you the Wheel's never gotten so much play in a commencement speech. The Wheel's recent editorial about today's festivities concludes, "We hope the commencement ceremonies give our graduates a send-off to remember. I know I won't forget you are allowing me to share this day with you, and I am grateful for the chance to reflect about connections, about the need to think of the less fortunate, even from a place like Iraq, and about the need to keep alive the utopian ideals that would make this world a better place for all of us. I don't doubt that some of you in the audience today have reached this stage after a journey not unlike Joe's, a passage across national borders, over class lines, through hardship and adjustment. And it wouldn't surprise me to learn that Emory has inspired and shaped all of you, those who came here with all the advantages, no less than those who came here with few. This is part of the utopia that gives our country its meaning, that gives the university, based on research and teaching, its value. As you go forth from these extraordinary years of freedom and discovery, I ask you to keep alive in your minds the curiosity that brought you here, and to revive it from time to time by forging new connections to others who would have done well with the same opportunities had they been so fortunate. Congratulations on the outcome of your hard work, the support of your family and friends, your desire to improve, and thank you for the honor of sharing this day with you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Paul, thank you. Dr. Farmer, thank you. We benefit from your gift of easy articulation and transparency of the values that make you who you are. Thanks for sharing that gift with us. And now we come to the conferral of the degrees in course. The deans will present their candidates for degrees in the order in which the schools of the university were founded, with two exceptions. The graduate school will have the pride and place at the end to connote the highest degree awarded in course, the Doctor of Philosophy degree. And the degrees awarded to this year's graduates of Oxford College were awarded already 2 days ago in Oxford, Georgia. In fact, with the previous graduates of Oxford, all previous graduates of Oxford, please stand so that we may recognize you. Thank you. And now, Dean Paul, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of Emory College please rise? And will the student marshals please come forward? Mr. President,
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. Will the candidates please rise?
These candidates have successfully completed. I'm sorry, I should let you know that. That's yours.
My line. You stepped on my line.
Stepped on his line.
These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of Emory College.
And now it's my turn. It's your turn. You are heirs to a tradition of academic apprenticeship reaching back more than 800 years. You have proven yourselves to be worthy of that tradition, and so I hereby confer your baccalaureate degrees with all the appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Warm congratulations to all of you. You may be seated. And now, Dean Lawley, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the School of Medicine please rise, and will the student marshals come forward? Mr. President,
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Associate in Medical Science, Bachelor of Medical Science, Master of Medical Science, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and Doctor of Medicine. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of the School of Medicine.
Trained in the healing arts, you have demonstrated proficiency in sciences and technologies that serve humanity. Shortly, you will assume responsibility for all who commit their health and lives to your knowledge. I hereby confer your medical degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Great congratulations to you. And you may be seated. Dean Salmon, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Nell Hodgson Woodruff School of Nursing please rise, and will the student marshals come forward? Mr. President,
Madam Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing and Master of Science in Nursing. Will the candidates please rise? These fabulous candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of the School of Nursing.
Your profession offers the highest commitment to care of the whole person in the midst of changing demands of healthcare. I hereby confer your nursing degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Great congratulations to you. And Dean Love, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Candler School of Theology please rise? And will the student marshals please come forward? I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Master of Theological Studies, Master of Divinity, Master of Theology, and Doctor of Theology. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Candler School of Theology.
You have learned to probe the spiritual mysteries, to minister to the often intractable spiritual ills that afflict individuals in society, and to exercise pastoral leadership and healing discernment. I hereby confer on you your theology degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations to you. And you may be seated. And Dean Partlett, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the law school please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? Mr. President,
Mr. Dean,
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Law and Master of Laws. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the law school.
As civilization rests on a foundation of justice, you bear the obligation to establish justice ever more firmly among us. I hereby confer your law degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Great congratulations to you. Dean Benvenisti, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Roberto C. Gozueta Business School please rise? And will the student marshals please come forward? Mr. President,
Mr. Dean,
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration and for the degree of Master of Business Administration. Will the candidates please rise? All right. These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Gozueta Business School.
accomplished in the language of trade, finance, and management, you are charged to go forth to accomplish the world's business with integrity as well as skill and a little bit of fun. You bear responsibility for fostering greater understanding among all peoples as the commerce of nations brings us in touch with what is different and new. I hereby confer your business degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Curran, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Rollins School of Public Health please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? Mr. President,
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Public Health and Master of Science in Public Health. Will the candidates please rise? Mr. President, these deeply committed and notably attractive candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Rollins School of Public Health.
As you address the endemic ills and epidemic diseases of our communities, you join men and women who have devoted their lives to making a healthier society. I hereby confer upon you your respective degrees with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations to you. And you may be seated. Dean Tedesco, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the graduate school please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? Mr. President,
Madam Dean,
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Diploma for Advanced Study in Teaching, Master of Arts in Teaching, Master of Science, Master of Music, and Master of Sacred Music. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the graduate school.
you have earned the implicit vocation of teacher, master, whatever your career may be. I hereby confer upon each of you the appropriate degree with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Great congratulations to you.
Mr. President,
Madam Dean,
I have the additional and distinctive honor to present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and dissertations and are recommended for their degrees by the faculty of the graduate school.
you have attained the highest degree awarded in course, and I take great pride and pleasure in welcoming you to the ancient and honorable company of scholars. And I hereby confer upon each of you your doctoral degrees with all appropriate rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Great congratulations to you. And you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I can now present to you Emory University's graduated class of 2007. Warm congratulations. And as new alumni, you got to stand. standing O back there. Wonderful. As a new alumni, I have the opportunity to introduce you to Dr. Walker Ray, who is Emory College class of 1962, class of 1965 School of Medicine, and president of the Emory Alumni Association. Walker.
Distinguished graduates, as president of the Emory Alumni Board and on behalf of the Emory Alumni Association, I have the privilege and high honor of welcoming you officially into the ranks of Emory alumni. While your cherished time as students on this university campus may have ended all too quickly, you will hereafter bear the distinction of being an alumni or alumnus of this great university. Today you join a dynamic group of men and women throughout the world, over 100,000 strong, who have gone before you and are expecting great things from you. Would everyone in the audience who is an alumnus or an alumni of Emory University other than the class of 2007, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. You may be seated. And with the class of 2007, please stand to be recognized as Emory's newest alumni. Thank you. You may be seated. Class of 2007, we, the alumni that have gone before you, have high expectations from you. We are expecting wonderful things from you. We know how talented you are and how remarkable you are. We also know that the university has imparted values and virtues to you in addition to knowledge. We look forward to witnessing the leadership, the service, the commitment to community, to social action, to peace and justice in the world that you will provide as you make your mark in the world, in the chosen communities and disciplines of your choice. We ask that you stay in touch, that you continue to care about Emory, that you participate in the life and times of the university after your graduation, and that you ensure the success of Emory's future. I want you to know that the alumni that have gone before you care deeply about you. So we wish you the best. Congratulations, and don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Thank you, Walker. Graduates, as you prepare to depart from this place, it is I who have the privilege, as the president of the university, to speak the last official word to you. You leave here to go on to the next chapter of your lives, and I hope that you will recall the words that 4 years ago you helped to craft as the vision that formed the foundation for the strategy for this university. Recall from that vision that your lives should be inquiry-driven and your hearts and minds should be ethically engaged, and that the best community is one that makes room for the miraculous diversity of humankind. Remember to be at work for positive transformation in the world through your own courageous leadership, no matter what field of endeavor you work in. We are privileged to have been together during these times, but with such privilege comes great responsibility. To whom much is given, from them much will also be required. I have no doubt, we have no doubt that with your Emory education, you will leave here and you will do well. You will do very well. But even as you do well, I challenge you also to do good. So on behalf of Emory University, I congratulate you and wish you the very best. For myself, personally, I will miss you, and I wish you Godspeed. Congratulations to all. And now let us all rise to receive the benedictions.
Good morning. In addition to offering this prayer to our graduates, families, and friends this morning, I would like to offer this prayer to our new friend Joe, who Dr. Farmer referred to. Before saying the prayer, I will first invoke blessings from Lord Ganesha, requesting his help in our newfound journey. Next, I will ask Goddess Saraswati to allow us to preserve the wisdom and knowledge that we have gained throughout experience at Emory. The following prayer I have chosen is from the Katha Upanishads. It is a peace mantra. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Em Saraswataye Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavataye Dakshana Murtaye Mahiyam Meheram Pragniyam Preyacha Swaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviriyam Karavavahe Tejasvi Navaditamastu Ma Vidvashavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Together may we be protected, and may he protect us. Together may we be nourished, and may he nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our journey together be brilliant and effective. May we not argue with each other. Om, peace, peace, peace.
To mark this joyous occasion, I offer you a series of Jewish blessings. First, to recognize the purpose of this ceremony, a prayer for hearing good news. Second, to honor the accomplishments of the graduates, a prayer for being in the presence of outstanding scholars. Finally, to promote future success for all, the priestly blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hatov v'hameitiv. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shnatan mechachmato lebashar v'adam. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yashem lacha shalom. May you be blessed and protected. May you be enlightened and provided grace. May countenance be bestowed upon you, and may you be granted peace.
The Islamic Blessing, chapter 49, verse 13. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya ayyuhannasu, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila, lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum inna allaha alimun kabirun. O humankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and have made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. The noblest of you in the sight of God is the one who is most deeply conscious of God. Verily, God is all aware and all knowing.
A prayer for the future of today's brilliant graduates from St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. Grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we truly receive. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And now please remain standing for the singing of Emrys alma mater. The lyrics are printed in the first page of your program.
In the heart of dear old Emory, where the sun does shine, that is where our hearts are turning round old Emory's shrine. We will ever sing thy praises, sons and daughters true. Hail we now our alma mater, hail the gold and blue. Though the years around us gather, crowned with love and cheer, still the memory of old Emory grows to us more dear. We will ever sing thy praises, sons and daughters true. Hail we now our alma mater, hail the gold and blue.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would the new graduates just of Emory College please be seated? And would all families and guests please be seated as the faculty and the graduates of non-Emory College schools and colleges march to their respective diploma ceremonies. And these satellite ceremonies will begin at times and locations indicated on page 6 of the program if you need a reminder. But now is the time to clear the way and to let the recessional begin.